Apache HTTP server is one of the most popular web servers on the internet. If we want to deploy a website, one easy and affordable method is to rent a virtual machine from a cloud provider such as Google Cloud or AWS. This virtual machine will run Apache HTTP server and expose a static IP. Then we add the static IP to our DNS registry. If we want to host a second website, then we can repeat the process all over again. So rent another virtual machine with the static IP and then add this static IP to our DNS again. The problem is that this will double our cost. Thankfully, Apache can serve multiple websites on a single instance. In Apache terms, this is called VirtualHosts. And it's exactly what we are going to implement in this video. We are going to reconfigure Apache Web Server to host 2 websites. And later, we are also going to enable SSL on both websites. If you want to follow along with the video, you will need an Apache HTTP server running on a static IP. Also, you need to be able to reconfigure your web server. Depending on the hosting provider, they might not allow you to reconfigure, so make sure you are able to. I will be using AWS Lightsail, but the steps will be similar to other cloud providers. And if you want to support the channel, please like the video or consider subscribing. Thank you. We are here in the AWS Lightsail console, and we are going to create a new website. I will go a bit faster, but if you want to see it step by step, I have another video called Deploy a Basic PHP Website to AWS Lightsail. If you are confused, I recommend taking a look at that one. So we are going to create a new instance. And for the region, I'm going to select, let's say, Ohio. From the platform, we do Linux, Unix. And I will use this one, LAMP. It stands for Linux, Apache, I think MySQL and PHP. And yeah, everything else looks good. We select the smallest one in here. Let's call this one multi-site. We just do create instance. And we see it right here, it's pending, but it should be ready in a few seconds, up to a minute. The status is now running, so we can try this static IP that is included in the pricing for AWS Lightsail. We can just see this bitnami with the documentation. We are going to change this when we connect to our instance, but we can take a look at the documentation, keep it in a tab. So now we can just add this IP to my DNS zone. I have this hosted zone, and the domain is vladsave.com. So I will just create a record. Let's call this one site 1. And yeah, we just need to add the IP without HTTP. I'm going to put 1 minute in here. And let's see if it was added. Yeah, we have it, site 1. And I'm going to add another record called site 2 with the same IP. Again, with 1 minute, create record. So now we have site 1 and site 2, and we can test them. So site1.vladsave.com. We see this website from bitnami, and if we do site 2, it should also work. Yeah, we land on the same page. Now we are going to connect to our virtual server using an FTP client. I'm using FileZilla, but you can use different clients. So I'm just going to create a new site in here. We need to provide the IP. And let's see. The host will be the IP of the server. The protocol will be SFTP. Login type will be key file. User is Bitnami. And key file is the key that you selected when we created the Lightsail instance. You are able to download this key once, and you need to save it somewhere locally. In here, if you forgot to save that key, I recommend you delete this instance and create it again. And when there will be a section called SSH key, so then you just click download and you save it. I cannot do it because I can only save it once. So this is my key, and everything else in here looks good. We can now just do connect. So we can see in here on the right side that these are the files on our server, and htdocs will be the location where the HTML for this page is hosted. So now we can just try to change this HTML and see if it works. So I will do view edit, and I have this configured to open Visual Studio Code. In case you are getting an error when you do view edit, you can go to edit. Let me see. So inside FileZilla, you go to edit and settings, and then in file type, file editing, you set your custom editor in here. I have that command for Visual Studio Code. So when you're in Visual Studio Code, you will need to install the code. So if you do in here Command Shift P, let's say you do this option, shell command, install the code command and path. And then if you go to edit settings again, file editing, so you provide in here the path to that code command, and I added -n to open files always in a new window. Anyway, so this is the HTML of that page we were seeing, and we can just edit it, remove everything from here. We are just going to add an H1 in here. Let's just call this one first website. We save it. So now if we go back to our site 2, and if we reload this page, after we save a file, we need to go back to FileZilla, and it says a file previously opened has been changed. Do you want to upload it? We say yes. So we were editing locally, and now it's uploaded on the website. And now if we reload this page, we will see the HTML we just did, and also site 1 will land on the, if we reloaded, we land on the same HTML that we modified. If we look at the files again, we will see that in home Bitnami on our server, this is the directory from which our websites are served, and in Apache this is called the document root. If we want to have multiple websites served from the same Apache instance, we will need to have multiple document roots. So if we go to home Bitnami again, so in here we will create a new directory. Let's call this one htdocs-2. This will be our second website, and in here we will create a new file. We will call it index.html, and for the HTML I did view edit again, just waiting for a second. So in here we can add a new HTML. Let's call second website the title of this page. And in here, I will add an H1 that says second website. Save this file. We can close it right now. And if we go to FileZilla, it identified that we saved our file, so we can just upload it. Now we will reconfigure the Apache Web Server to create a virtual host that serves this new document root we just created. So we need to open the configuration file for our Apache. You need to find the location where your instance of Apache is located. In the case of this virtual machine, it's in opt, Bitnami, and Apache. So then once you locate it, there will be a directory called conf configuration. And the global config is this one, httpd.conf. So if we edit this file, we will see the entire configuration file of Apache. And at the bottom, we can see that it includes a bunch of files from here. So this image has the documentation of how to add virtual hosts. If we look in the file directory, we see that in here there's a directory called hosts, but the files are disabled. They have this extension disabled such that they are not covered by this include from here. However, we can add our virtual host here at the bottom. So if we search for, let's say, Apache VirtualHosts, we will see, we need this one, name-based virtual host. And it says right there, more than one server per IP address, which is exactly our use case. And this one is an example. So also on port 80, we provide a separate document root. We don't need the server alias, just server name and virtual host. So this one, we copied that one from there. We can just add it here in httpd conf at the bottom. So our server name will be site2.vladsave.com, and we need to provide the path to htdocs2. So if we navigate to it, we just copy this one from here like this, and now we save this file, and we need to go to FileZilla again. It identified that we made a change. So now after every time we make a configuration change in Apache, we need to restart the server. So for this, we will SSH into our instance. I went back to the Lightsail tab, and we can just use this SSH browser terminal. Like this. So there is a command for verifying if our Apache configuration is valid. It will be Apache CTL, and the only argument is config test in one word. So it says that the syntax is okay. And now we need to restart our Apache server. Let's see. This is the documentation from our from our image. It's from that page that was pre-populated in our server. Let's see. So in administration, there is a section called start and stop services. So we need to run this script. It says sudo control script restart Apache. So we just run this one in the SSH terminal. It said restarted Apache. So now we can try it out. If we go to site 1, we will get the first website. And if we try site 2, we see that we get an error. It says you don't have permissions to view this resource. So if we go back to Apache to the Apache root directory. There is a directory in here called logs. And we can actually take a look at this error log. And it says client denied by server configuration, htdocs2. So our configuration is incorrect. Let's see. Okay, we don't need this file. We need to go back to the configuration file. So if we go to conf and then to httpd.conf to the root configuration again, we do a view edit. So in here we can take a look on how the other document root was configured. So if we look in here, it says document root, and this is the first document root from which the first website is served. But then we have this section directory, and this is the setting that prevented us from accessing the site, because we need to do require all granted inside this directory tag. So we can just copy this one, require all granted. And if we go to the VirtualHosts, we will add a directory entry in here and close the directory. And just fill in here, require all granted. And we also need to provide the directory as an argument in the tag. So now if we do a config test again in the SSH, it says the syntax is, oh yeah, we actually need to upload the change we made. So we go back to FileZilla, it will prompt us that the file was changed, we re-upload it. So now we do another config test, we restart the Apache again. So now if we go to site 2 in here in the browser and we reload, we see that we get the second website. And if we do site 1, we see that it is the first website. The next step is to enable HTTPS on both the first website and the second one. Right now, if we look at the address bar, it says not secure because it's using HTTP on port 80. But before we continue, I want to mention that this command that we were using to restart Apache, this one's specific to this Bitnami image. If you're not using a Bitnami image, you might need to do a CTL script, or no, not CTL script. You need to do some initd command or sysctl, so keep that in mind. And now for generating the certificate, if we go to back to the documentation of our image, there is a section in here in Apache. It says create an SSL certificate for Apache. So it says to quickly get started, we can auto configure Let's Encrypt SSL certificate. This certificates are free, and I think they're valid for a few months, but for this video, they should do just fine. So we just run this command, the bn cert tool, in the SSH terminal. So in here we need to provide a list of space-separated list of domains for which we want to create certificates. So it will be site1.vladsave.com and site2, site1.vladsave.com, and then site2.vladsave.com. And it asks us if we want to include the www.site1, and we don't want. There is a warning. Do we want to enable HTTP to HTTPS redirect? Yes. Everything looks good. We need to provide an email address. Okay, we agree with the license. Okay, so now if we reload the site 1, we will see that now it no longer says not secure. It says the connection is secure. We can see the certificate. It will say let's encrypt. Everything is good. However, if we do site 2, if we do site 2, we see that we land on the first website again instead of the second website. The connection is secure, but it's not serving from the correct document root. So the problem is that our virtual host configuration is no longer valid after the SSL certificates were applied. And if we take a look in the log, it tells us right here like what files were reconfigured. It says the httpd.conf was reconfigured, then inside conf, and then in bitnami, there's a bitnami SSL conf. So that we will take a look at these files in our in FileZilla. So if we go to bitnami, and then if we look in inside in here in bitnami-SSL conf, if we do a view edit, we will see in here that it created a virtual host for our main document root, the one that serves the first website. So it changed the port from 80 to 443. We need to do the same thing for our virtual host. And yeah, let's see. Yeah, I think this is the HTTPD virtual host that we are using. So we need to transfer some of these changes to our virtual host. So we changed this port from 80 to 443. And then we need to enable SSL and add these to the SSL certificate file and SSL certificate key file. We can add them right here. Just make sure everything is indented correctly. So now we save this file. And if we go back to FileZilla, we upload the new version of httpd.conf. And now we can restart our Apache. First, we do a config test again. It says it's good. So if we just do a restart Apache, and now we can try it again. So if we reload site 2, it will say second website, and the connection is secure. It's with HTTPS. And if we do site 1, it says first website, site 2 again. It works as expected. This is all the material for today. There are more videos related to cloud development in case you want to continue watching. And if you have any questions, let me know in the comment section below. Thank you for watching.